Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good things. Happy Monday, everybody. May you have a great week ahead. And we're starting off in a good way because we got Robert Meyer Burnett over there. We've got Ray Ora sitting over there. Of course, we got Taylor Gonzalez in the background, and running the show is Jonathan Voico. And of course, the ever delightful Chris Carr is here. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. In the first part of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, for those of you who are our beloved channel members, we're going to be putting up a community post just for our channel members, and we're going to take your live comments from there. So if you're a channel member, look for that community post and leave your comment there, and we will get us through as many of those as we can in the second part of the show. Also, want to let you guys know, while we will be reviewing The Last of Us in a non-spoiler way here on today's show, a little bit later at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, we will be doing our Last of Us open spoiler after show. We hope you guys will come by and join us for that at 3 p.m. We're going to be talking in a full open spoilery way about it, taking your comments and questions as well about the episode. We hope that you guys will join us. Once again, that's at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time today. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get into a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And our first one is this. You know, we're going to be talking about the Critics' Choice Awards, which happened yesterday, which, I mean, I think like the second most important directing award is the DGA. I think the second most important acting award is SAG. But I think other than the Oscars, the second, to me, most legitimate award in general is the Critics' Choice Award. Now, the Critics' Choice used to be better. They've done things in the last few years that are just mind-numbingly stupid. They really have. But they're still better than the Golden Globes. They're still better than a couple of other things. So I still consider them kind of like the second best thing. Well, yesterday was the Critics' Choice Awards. And you know me, Rob, I am always, because the Oscars are my favorite show, I am always trying to come up with ways that the Oscars can tighten up the show.
Sure.
You know? To tighten up, there's a little bit too much, unnecessary fluff in the show that can be tightened up, make the show shorter, more killer, less filler, all that kind of stuff. Well, I guess not every time-saving measure is a good idea, because last night at the Critics' Choice Awards, they did something really dumb. They presented Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress at the same time. And when I say the same time, I don't mean, hey, this person is our winner of Best Actor. Came up quick, blah, blah. Okay, now quickly, this person is the winner of Best Actress. No. They literally announced the nominees at the same time and then pulled one card out of the envelope to read both names. And they both had to come up on stage and take turns giving speeches, which was... For those of you who are watching that are Oscar producers, don't do this. I mean, I'm all for time-saving measures. I really am. Like, I'm still right. I don't care what anybody says. I liked the experiment they had last year of having some of the more technical awards, whatever, presented off screen and then showing the acceptance speech. I know a lot of people were against it, but you can't cry that you want a shorter show. But look, I thought it was a decent move. And I think this was stupid. And the other guy who thought it was stupid was good Canadian kid Seth Rogen. Because after they had to do this award, after this award was presented, Seth Rogen came up to present an award, and he took the opportunity to talk about it. Now, this is the way it's written in The Hollywood Reporter. Seth Rogen wasted no time in questioning the show's new format of presenting two awards at once, with those winners even being announced back-to-back out of the same envelope. I've never been to this. Do they always give two awards at the same time? That's weird. Why do they do that? He said to generous laughter from the starry audience at the Fairmount Century Plaza. Are we crunched for time? Get another hour. It can't be that expensive. You know how I know that? Because this show is airing at 4 p.m. on the CW. That cannot be a pricey time slot from my understanding for how all this works. And then Rogen goes on to say, I'm not saying the CW is a bad network, but this is the Critics' Choice Awards and no CW shows are nominated for Critics' Choice Awards. You're saying this is a bad network. He said to the Critics' Choice, he goes, this is airing at 4 p.m. on the CW. How expensive can it be? Rob, you've heard me go on and whine for years about the Oscars needing to tighten things up. But there's a certain line you don't cross. I don't know. What did you think about this?
Well, first of all, I got to say, Seth Rogen, that's an impeccable tux he had on. Her suit was beautiful. Love that. Beautiful. But I think, John, the one thing award shows really need to do well is present the awards. That's the one thing they have to do well. And it's nice when they single people out for their excellence. And by calling, like I wonder if it's going to be a new hiring practice that you can just hire supporting players from other movies to come be in your movie too. Because, why not put people together if they don't have to be singled out as individuals? Maybe you can just hire double the cast for your movie. So when they get awards, they all step up and they represent two movies at the same time. I don't know. No, I think that was they only did it for the one award though.
I did not see how many they did for. It might have just been for the one.
I mean,
because best supporting actors and actresses, they don't mean anything.
They don't. I mean, it was such a weird thing. And there's a picture. I don't know if it's in the Hollywood Reporter or Variety that had both of the actors standing on stage, and it was so awkward because you could see that they didn't really know. Well, what do we do? Like, what are we supposed to do now? Who talks first? Like, I don't know. Are we both on the same emotional level that we've won? I mean, it's such a bizarre choice. I don't think it should happen again, to be honest.
Yeah, no, probably not. Chris, hey, listen, I'm all open for experimenting, right? And, and I'm going to cut the Critics' Choice.
Glad you said that on the internet.
Yeah.
Have fun with that clip, guys. I'm not going to kink shame you. I'm glad you're into that. Good. Yay, and.
Oh, boy. It's Monday.
Kudos to the Critics' Choice Association for trying something. I don't want to stifle innovation. I don't want to make anybody afraid to try something new. But this was a pretty dumb one. I don't know. What did you think? Can you see some merit in it?
I mean, it was very, very odd. It was really nice that Giancarlo Esposito tried to make lemonade out of the situation of, it was nice because I wasn't alone. Sometimes you're just worried about being too nervous. And it was so nice that I had Jennifer there.
That was so generous of him.
It's like using the restroom with a friend.
Buddy system, right?
Okay.
And
just one?
It's just one buddy. Just one buddy, though.
It likes to do a group.
Oh, man. But it does seem very, very odd. Like, it just feels very uncomfortable. Because a lot of times, too, on these awards show, I love Jennifer Coolidge so much. I didn't need 15 minutes or so of her just doing her whole, I'm nervous to talk and present an award thing, because that took away from people having their time to actually present the award, right? Or to accept their award. And same thing here. If you're going to be honoring somebody's performance, maybe give them a moment to actually accept that award and
if you want to shorten the moment, fine. If you want to, that's fine. But that one weird thing about just arbitrary, you two up on stage together.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito. We're just going to throw you.
You know what, though? That guy is a class act. If you've ever seen him speak, he's always saying something spiritual or enlightening. Or throw it to him, and he'll always do right by you. So,
all right, guys. Question is for you. What did you think about? I don't know. Like maybe you thought, hey, this is an innovative screen time saving approach. Maybe there's some merit to it. I thought it was ridiculous. Hopefully they learn their lesson. They won't do it again next year. But whatever you thought about that, and also Seth Rogen's comments, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to another new topic here, shall we? And that one is this. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming out. We all know about it. It's getting a little put to the side for the moment because all the marketing stuff right now is focused on Ant-Man Quantumania, obviously, which is perfectly understandable and fine. But I'll tell you what, I've said this before, I was already excited about Guardians 3 because James Gunn, Guardians, love him. But my excitement for Guardians 3 went through the roof once I saw the holiday special.
Right.
Because it reminded me, while I don't expect Guardians 3 to be anything like the holiday special, it reminded me just how much I love this ragtag bunch of misfit characters, particularly together. I mean, I'm quite heartbroken that we're not going to see Dave Bautista and Pom Klementieff together on screen anymore after this, because I have grown to love their chemistry and love their characters. And I just, whatever. So I'm super excited about it. Well, one of the things that got a lot of people excited about it was when they announced that Adam Warlock was finally coming. And we got a little bit of a glimpse of him in that trailer. But now, online, we are getting our first actual good look at Adam Warlock. And actually, if you scroll down a little bit there, Jonathan, I think there's an even better image that we get there that's coming out of Empire, who always get the big images. Now, I'm going to tell you this. While I am excited to see Adam Warlock, if I were to tell there's those AI art websites now. If I were to tell an AI art website, create generic superhero, that's what it would spit out. I'm not big. And now look, you know me, I don't really care about the costume design. Again, Black Lightning was the worst costume design I've ever seen, and I love that show, so it doesn't matter at all, really matter at all. But I wish I could say I was excited about the costume design. I'm not, but I love seeing him. And I think this is going to get a lot of people really excited. Anyway, Chris, you saw the first image for Adam Warlock. What did you think? Where's your anticipation level for Guardians right now? Where are you at?
I mean, I think it looks great. It's very comic book accurate. I think he looks dope. I really, really like this. Is it a little rubbery in this photo? Sure. But it's also being lit in a certain way, and I don't get to see all the details and everything. So I really am just trying to take it all in once I actually see the film or see some trailer footage, right? But I think he looks great. And I love Will Poulter. I think he's so friggin' funny. And I love that he's kind of now in this leading man phase of his career. He just had this little glow up, but he's always had the chops. He's been an incredible, hilarious actor for years. He did sketch comedy in England as a kid and just was a riot. So I always love to see a comedian really, really rise the ranks. I'm really excited to see him do this. And Guardians 3, come on. It's going to be great.
Rob, what did you think?
Well, I think in the close-up from the trailer, the costume does look pretty dope. I mean, I like it. It looks very much of a piece to other costumes in the universe. But I think, like Chris said, the lighting was not the overall gold red lighting.
It's not super
I don't
kind
think
to this.
showed the detail in the costume. So I'm excited to see Adam Warlock. I really, because I think, however James Gunn has written him, is going to be the key. And the performance, and I like you said, I've liked Will Poulter for a long time. He was in Bandersnatch.
Yes.
The Black Mirror, the interactive Black Mirror thing. I thought he was terrific in that. And so I'm really hoping that, I think he's going to be great. I thought he was a fine choice, kind of out of left field, maybe. But I'm excited.
I'll tell you what, the project was that put, I mean, obviously we knew who he was before already, but the project that I saw him in that made me go, oh, this dude's for real. Catherine Bigelow's Detroit.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I saw him in Catherine Bigelow's, it was like, okay, he's showing me something in this that I had no idea this kid was capable
100%.
of. Like when I watch We're the Millers, I never would have thought I would see that kid doing what he was doing in Detroit. And at that moment I knew, oh my God. And that's why when they announced him, that's a great shot of him in there. When they announced him being Adam Warlock, and a lot of people, understandably so, a lot of people went, really? The We're the Millers kid?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people saw Catherine Bigelow's Detroit. But I was like, trust me.
And this
dude's for real.
He's in Midsummer, isn't he?
Is he?
Is he in Midsummer?
And he's jacked. Like, did you see him at Comic-Con this year when he came out on stage at Comic-Con? It's like everybody was like, whoa, hold on. What's going on? This dude got himself completely jacked. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the first image of Adam Warlock? I'm going to admit, I don't like it all that much, but it doesn't matter because I don't really care about costumes. Maybe you love it. Maybe you don't like it all that much. How excited are you for the movie right now? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on over to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day, brought to you by our friends at Mint Mobile. If you guys have a question for the show and would like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Leave a message there. Ryan Reynolds will personally sit down with a quill and pen, write out your message, bring it into us, and maybe you'll hear it here on the show. And today they're asking about an interesting angle on a topic we often talk about, which is weekly releases on Netflix. Check it out.
Hi, this is Owen White. It seems like all the time when people talk about Netflix, they're always talking about, their shows getting canceled after 1 or 2 seasons. My question is, if Netflix adopted weekly episodic release strategy, do you think that would decrease the chances of a series getting canceled? I feel like that would help it a lot. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
All right. Thanks a lot for writing that in, Owen. And yeah, listen, one of the things we've been talking about this for a while now, actually for a couple of years. Netflix is known for having some excellent programming. They're known for having the most impressive library going right now with both original and curated content. But they are also known for canceling shows real fast. Now, look, I'm a believer in failing fast. Actually, when I coach anybody, one of the first lessons I often talk about is fail fast. Because when you fail fast, it takes away any fear of trying something new. It takes away your fear or intimidation of getting out of your comfort zone. If you are willing to recognize that something you're trying isn't working, move on from it quickly. And that way you're never going to develop a fear of being trigger shy about trying new things, right? But as many of our audience will point out, a lot of the stuff that Netflix has canceled over the years, whether in its first or second season, have been excellent programming that, for one reason or another, whether it was escalating costs or more likely wasn't able to really find a big enough audience to justify its existence, they ended up pulling the trigger. And to Netflix credit, they then quickly take that money and then invested in new shows to try. But, we just had 1899 was taken down. Not everybody loved the show, but had a very passionate group of people that did like it. We've seen several other shows on Netflix get the plug pulled. Now, we have been advocates around here. Oh, Mindhunter. Jeez. Love that show. We have been advocates around here of the notion of Netflix needs to get away from their dropping their entire seasons at once for a long time. And for many, many different reasons. But to focus in on what you're talking about here, if Netflix moved to a model of moving to week releases, could that reduce the number of cancellations they have? And I'm going to tell you, yeah, it would. And here's why. It won't, reduce the number of cancellations for shows that ended up not being good. I mean,
Right.
that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Of course.
But we're going to go back to what happened with WandaVision, all right? When WandaVision first dropped, its numbers weren't huge. The first week, or even the numbers went up in the second week, even in the first couple of weeks, the numbers weren't large. And I'm going to tell you this. Had WandaVision been, and can you believe we're on our second anniversary of WandaVision?
No.
Are we getting close to our third?
No, I think second.
Second anniversary? Anyway, it's been a while. So had WandaVision been on Netflix and dropped all at once, I think it would have came and gone fairly quickly because it didn't find an immediate audience.
Right.
But what happened with WandaVision? They played a new episode every week. And as the weeks progressed, more and more people talked about it. And as people kept talking about it, people who hadn't seen it kept hearing about it week after week after week and finally go, fine, I'll check it out. And what happened? We talked about this a year and a half ago. The numbers grew and grew and grew and grew until it was like one of the biggest shows in the world at the time. I believe that audiences will find quality if you make quality findable. And when you take an entire series and just drop it at once, because here's what happened. We talked about this with Punisher that was on Netflix. The series dropped. Everybody talked about it for 72 hours, and then nobody talked about it anymore because it was yesterday's news. I completely believe that if Netflix had the wisdom and the foresight to move, and we've talked about it does look like Netflix is little bit by little bit inching towards doing weekly releases. But I believe if and when they do go to weekly releases, they're going to find that some of their higher quality programming will find an audience that otherwise would not have found an audience because a new episode's going to come out and everybody's going to talk about it. And then a week later, another new episode's going to come out and everybody's going to talk about it. And the average viewers who aren't seeing this show yet are going to keep hearing everybody talking about it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and go, finally, I'll check it out. Just like it did with WandaVision, just like we've seen it do with a lot of other shows. So yeah, I 100% believe that if Netflix were to employ the weekly release system, the bad ones would still go quickly, but I think you'd see some of the higher quality shows saved because they would truly find an audience. I don't know, Rob, we've talked about this issue a lot, but specifically about it saving shows that otherwise get canceled on Netflix. How do you think it would affect it?
I think it would affect it greatly because I read an article recently, and I think I talked about it on the show, that Netflix, a lot of what goes into them deciding whether they cancel a show or not, especially after the first season, is completion rate.
Right.
Meaning how many of the viewers that watch a show actually finish watching the show. And I think when you're starting to watch a Netflix show, you might be into it, but watching all 10 hours is something you think, okay, I've watched 3 hours, I'll come back to it later. And some people don't because they get busy. And so suddenly you have a show like 1899 that wasn't on Netflix for that long. They decided not to renew it within a few fairly quickly.
Yeah,
and they
did.
said no. It was an expensive show that they had a lot of hope for because Dark is a show. And Dark, by the way, grew in stature. How long did it take people to even discover that show? And it ran 3 seasons. So the thing is, if you're watching a show every week, John, I think people are personally more invested in it. If you have all 10 episodes, you watch 3 hours, you're like, I'll come back. But if there's a show every week and people are talking about it, you have friends that you talk to about it, it becomes an event, a weekly thing. And I think that's a better way to establish an audience because you have time to think about what you've watched. You might talk to a friend randomly and go, I watched that too. What'd you think about what happened to the last episode of, 1923? That was pretty dope, right? And people talk, and then it becomes a thing where it becomes an appointment. If you have everything there and you're not totally you like it, but you're not that engaged by it all at once or whatever, you kind of drop it and fall away. But that weekly thing makes it people like destinations. Oh, I've got a date with my TV show.
Yeah.
And it makes them invest more, I think. And I think that completion rate would at least go up. And maybe shows would get a little bit more of a chance to catch an audience, find an audience.
I agree, because take a show like Legion, for example. Again, I watched the first episode or two, fell off it, right? If that was a show that dropped all at once, I would have watched the first couple episodes, heard everybody talked about it for a couple of days, and then I never would have picked it back up. But because it was a weekly show, for a month and a half, I had to hear people say,
Yep.
John, you don't understand. This show's getting so good. This show's getting so good. Check out. Now, of course, Chris, every once in a while, Netflix, with their format of dropping it all at once, does catch lightning in a bottle. Like we saw that with Squid Game. We saw that with a couple of their other shows. Could moving to a week-to-week, increase the number of shows that find footing on Netflix? Or, is it today's world and today's Twitter generation, it's you either find it immediately or you don't? I don't know. How do you think it would work?
Well, I know back in October of 2022, everyone at Netflix was talking about how they still believe in this very bingeable model, right? Because they feel like it allows people to take chances on their newer titles, right? Maybe things that weren't as well advertised. It's Netflix. Certain things that maybe you don't know about, right? Certain things maybe like a Squid Games that is something from a different country that you may otherwise not have watched. You might take a chance on because of having that bingeable option of, I can check it all out now and see if I like it. But the thing with the weekly, or at least the part 1s and part 2s, is we have that water cooler discussion. It becomes part of the zeitgeist as opposed to something we just ingested, enjoyed, and now we've moved on to something else, right?
Yeah.
Even though we had this big chunk of Stranger Things, that lead up to the final concluding episodes of the season really, really caused a lot of tension. And that's the thing that's great about a weekly model, right? From a narrative structure, you can build tension. You can have people really discussing what could be happening. You can have people theorizing. I mean, with White Lotus, everyone was talking about whether or not Jennifer
show is
Coolidge
gonna
was
get good or
being
not.
filmed. Same, bud.
Yeah.
I'm on that same boat as you. But I think that happens a lot to these kinds of shows. When we binge them all and they're all dropped, we just forget about them immediately. And I think this would lead to them actually having subscribers maintain their subscription.
Yeah, and again, there have been shows where it's it all dropped. And it's everybody watched it after 3 days. I'm not really interested. Everybody tells me to watch it for a couple of days, and then nobody's talking about it anymore. Whereas again, if it's a weekly model, everybody's telling you for months, and maybe you go check it out.
Well, John, just The Last of Us. If you Google The Last of Us this morning, there is dozens of articles that not only review the show, talk about the disease, the fungus disease in the show. There's all kinds of think pieces. So suddenly, it would take you a week just to catch up with all the news that dropped this morning in the wake of the show. So to create hype or something, I think a weekly model's way better. Way better.
And of course, there are advantages to the binge model. We've talked about that a lot. But anyway, guys, question is for you. Well, this specific question, if and when Netflix moves to a week-by-week model, do you think that some shows that were canceled prematurely maybe would have found a longer shelf life and more seasons? I know, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to move on to our main topics here. But before we do, guys, if you love learning new things, then you are going to love this first sponsor of our show. We love these guys, sponsors of today's show over at MasterClass. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, MasterClass. MasterClass offers classes on a wide variety of topics, all taught by world-class instructors at the very top of their fields. Each class is broken out into individual video lessons, usually around 10 minutes long. And MasterClass is completely accessible on your phone, the web, smart TV, and available via audio mode to listen to classes on the go. They have over 2,500 video lessons from over 180 of today's most brilliant minds. They're all available anytime, anywhere on iOS, Android, desktop, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Roku. Now, obviously around here on the John Campea Show, we love our movies, so why not learn filmmaking from Jodie Foster, or maybe directing from Ron Howard himself, or the great Neil Gaiman doing his masterclass on the art of storytelling. And you guys have heard me talk about my favorite masterclass, Business Strategy and Leadership by Big Papa Iger himself, Bob Iger, the new and returning CEO of Disney. Guys, I highly recommend that you check it out. This holiday, give the perfect gift of an annual masterclass membership and get one free. Go to masterclass.com/Campea today. That's masterclass.com/Campea. Terms apply. And a big thank you to our friends at MasterClass for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. And again, guys, I honestly cannot recommend MasterClass enough. I love that company. Go and check them out. By the way, if you guys go down into the description of this video, you'll find links to all of today's sponsors and their promo codes. And remember, guys, when you support and check out our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So thank you again to MasterClass. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, that part's easy because you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you'll see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes from Oliver Whitmer. Hey, John, while doing an interview on the red carpet, Amber Midthunder, who starred in Prey, was asking if there was going to be a sequel, and she kind of hinted that there is. I know you weren't sure if there would be one or not, but do you interpret her as saying there will be, and do you think there should be? Thanks.
All right, Oliver, thanks a lot for saying that in. And listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, when they first talked about Prey at CinemaCon a couple years ago, I was like, to quote Chris Carr, for why? Really? Really? You're going to try to go back to the Predator franchise? How's that been working out? Spoiler alert, not well. And I just thought it was, and really? How are people living in that old Western time period supposed to be able to fight Predator? It just, I just all around thought it was a bad idea. I admit it, I did. Now, the trailer started to look good to me, and it started to build my enthusiasm a little bit. But nothing prepared me for once I saw the movie, and I was floored by it. I absolutely loved it. I came out of it saying, and I still believe it to this day, I think it is easily the best Predator movie outside of the original. I really do. I just thought it was wonderful. It was its own movie, but very much in tune with the franchise. And Amber Midthunder was a revelation. She was fantastic in it. I love the dynamic between her and her brother and like just all this stuff I thought was great. I thought it was great world building, had a great time. But when the question started coming up about whether or not they should do a sequel, I was like, well, I don't know. What's there left to do? I mean, the one guy came, got his ass kicked, and now we moved on. But when you have the success that it had, You got to talk about it. And sure enough, I think it was on the red carpet of the Critics' Choice Awards. It was the reporter from Variety stopped Amber Midthunder and asked her, hey, are we going to get a Prey sequel? And this is what she had to say. She said the following: I don't have a date for you. This is not an announcement. She was being very coy, by the way, when she's speaking. You got to see the video. This is not an announcement, but I'm not saying it's not. We talk all the time about a lot of things, and that's probably one. I'm ready. I love that experience. I love that movie, and I would be happy to, see where else we can take it. And that, of course, that was Amber Midthunder. Guys, I have to stress, if you can find the video for it, of her actually talking about this, she's like she's just stopping short of going, like that's the only thing she didn't do. For those of you listening to the podcast, I just made a big wink. That's all she didn't do. But she was basically saying to the world, like, you're asking me, how did I interpret her words? She's saying there's going to be a sequel. Should there be a sequel? I often talk about sequels needing at least one of two things. Number one, which is what most people think about, which is, does the story kind of ask for a next chapter, right? That's what most people normally focus on. And I would say in the case of Prey, no, the story is not asking for another chapter, to be honest. It was a great movie, started and ended. But I believe there is a second thing that can really hook people into a sequel that is often overlooked. And that is, do I want to spend 2 more hours with that character? I said that about, Hangover. Now, Hangover 2 didn't work out to be very good, but when they were coming out with Hangover 2, it's like, do they need to do another Hangover? No, they don't. But I want to hang out with those characters some more. That, like, the only reason Supernatural lasted 15 seasons is not because it had Pulitzer Prize or winning writing. It was, I loved the characters, and every week I just wanted to hang out with the characters. You can't overlook that. And do I want to see Amber Midthunder trying to work out a problem with the Predator again? Yes, I do. Does the story ask for it? No. But I want to go into a movie theater and see that again. And I'll tell you what, they ain't going to go straight to Hulu this time. They do a sequel, this one's going theatrical. I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, Chris, you hear Amber Midthunder's comments here. Do you think she's implying that there is indeed one? Am I reading too much into it? And the bigger question, should they do a sequel to Prey?
Yes and yes. I mean, I was honestly surprised that this wasn't on either of your top 10 lists because you guys loved this movie so much.
I had to think about it. I did.
It's a phenomenal film. And she is incredible. She's such a force. I'm so excited to see her in the Avatar: The Last Airbender series as well as Princess Yue. I think she's going to be incredible. But I mean, this was a very, very well-received film. So why wouldn't you do a sequel to it? It's just leaving money on the table. And again, why wouldn't you do a theatrical release too? Because people loved this movie. People were wondering why it wasn't in theaters after they first started doing screenings of it. So I think she absolutely is going to do a sequel. Why wouldn't you? I want it. Y'all want it. Let's do it.
And Rob, you could almost make this movie with the Jason Blum system of movie making, because what are your sets? A forest,
right?
Maybe 8 or 9 characters, a guy in a costume. There were some visual effects, but you can make this fairly inexpensively. This is not a movie that would need to make $500 million at the box office to break even or anything. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I think, look, I really like this movie a great deal. I thought it was a terrific reinvigoration of the Predator franchise. I mean, I could see, John, just off the top of my head. So what if the Predators, they hunt all over the galaxy, right? And they keep tabs. If somebody gets their ass kicked, they're like, oh, here's another place we go back to.
We raise the difficulty level on the advertisement for that game reserve.
So what if the Predators go around and they gather 6 aliens from different worlds, and they come and they deposit them in one place, and it happens to be Earth's time. And then they bring 6 hunter predators. They've got their 6 biggest bosses to fight, and then they've got 6 predators, and they figure this is a pretty good hunting area. It's all outside. You stay in the forest, and so she has to deal with a bunch of alien creatures that they have to figure out how to work together against the predators. Same thing. I'd watch that. It's the Magnificent Seven and Battle Beyond the Stars versus Predators.
Now, I don't want to get into the habit of writing the sequel in
right,
my head,
of course. But in my mind, I'm just like, if you had to do something.
But another approach could be, okay, guess what? Now her people know about this.
Right.
And they got to figure out, there's one, there could be more, and they prepare for it. And I like your idea. They send, instead of one solo hunter, maybe 3 of them come, but it's several tribes of people fighting against like 3 or 4 predators. I mean, that could be pretty damn fun too.
Or the predators get to pick their favorite combatants and team up with them. So she has to team up with a predator against other predators and their teammates.
Yeah, God, I loved this movie. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? I mean, do you agree with me that, like, story-wise, this isn't asking for another thing, but
No.
I want to go back and see these characters again. Maybe you feel the same, maybe you don't. Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2, shall we? Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Our second topic comes from Julian. Hey, crew. So the Critics' Choice Awards were last night, and I was thrilled to see my favorite film of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, score big with Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Editing, Best Supporting Actor, and last but certainly not least, Best Picture. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ceremony and what you think of the results. Thanks.
All right, Julian, thanks a lot for sending that in. And as I said off the top of the show, while I believe the overall quality of the Critics' Choice has declined over the years, I still think it's the second most legit awards thing of the year overall. Again, specifically for directors, that's DGA. Specifically for actors, that's SAG. But overall, in general, I think you got the Academy Awards, and to me, second is Critics' Choice. And I will tell you what, while I have not been super big on the Broadcast Film Critics Association for a couple of years, I gotta say, I'm very surprised by a lot of the results, but very pleasantly surprised. So I think they nailed a lot of things. And I liked, again, you mentioned Everything Everywhere All at Once. So let's go over to my screen there. Everything Everywhere All at Once took home. It was on the movie side, it was the big winner.
Yeah.
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, all that kind of stuff. By the way, a couple of keynotes. What started as a cute story in movies this year of, why am I freezing on Short Round's name?
Q1.
Yes. While it was started off, while Kwan's story was a cute story this year, and everybody say, hey, you know what? He was really good in that. He should be considered. Guess what? He's the Oscar favorite now. Like, he is straight up the Oscar favorite now because he's won several of the award season things, including the Golden Globe, but now he's taking home the Critics' Choice Award as well. I think he's got to be considered the front runner going into the Oscars this season. And what a great story. What a great story. But yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which ended up was, for most of 2022, was my favorite film of the year. It ended up as my number 2, but I love this film. I am so happy to see it getting the attention that it got. By the way, the big winner on the TV side was Better Call Saul, which I know a lot of people are very, very happy about because it ended up winning Best Drama Series, Best Lead Actor for Bob Odenkirk, and Best Supporting Actor for Giancarlo Esposito. So it was kind of the big winner on the TV side. We'll go through just some of the things here. Best Actress, no surprise, Cate Blanchett for Tar. I think we all pretty much, if any category is a lock at the Oscars this year, that's it. Like, if we had to pick one category that the Oscars coming up that we think is a lock, Cate Blanchett is winning for Tar. I mean, I think that's it. Best Actor. Hey, Brendan Fraser took one. He hasn't been getting a lot of love at the award season stuff so far, but he did take it. I don't think he's going to win the Oscar, but it's good to see him get that acknowledgement. Best Director, again, for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is so good. Who cares? Best Limited Series, Best Drama Series. We got Better Call Saul. Best Actress in a Drama, Zendaya. I mean, this Euphoria has just been really, really good for her and her for it. Again, Best Actor in a Drama Series was Bob Odenkirk. And not one of the more important categories, but it made my heart happy to see that the Al Yankovic story won for Best Movie Made for Television this year, which I'm so thrilled for.
But it deserved it.
It
deserved
should
it.
have won, yeah.
It absolutely deserved it.
I mean, we have raved. I mean, I raved about it from the beginning. You saw it, then you're like, oh my God. It's like, and everybody who finally catches up going, oh, they weren't kidding. This is really good. Weird. If you guys have not seen Weird, the Al Yankovic story, watch it. It's fantastic. You know what else is great in that? Rainn Wilson.
Oh.
As Dr. Demento. He's so good in that. Let's see. We go down to Best Animated Series. Also made my heart very happy. Harley Quinn, which Velma was just desperately trying to be in all the wrong ways, unfortunately. We go to, let's see, Best Visual Effects. No big surprise here. It was Avatar: The Way of Water. Best Comedy Series. This will make my wife happy. She loves this show. Abbott Elementary.
It's wonderful.
It's great.
By the way, we went to the Laker game last night, and we went with another couple who were friends of ours. They both happened to be in the school system. And they were like, it's actually uncomfortable how accurate that show is. I'm like, okay, good to know. Anyway, Best Animated Feature went to Pinocchio, which I still think it should be Turning Red, but whatever. Best Actor in a Limited Series or Movie Made for Television, Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al Yankovic. Good to see Daniel Radcliffe getting some love. The second most biggest lock for the Oscars this year is going to be Angela Bassett to win Best Supporting Actress. She also took home the Critics' Choice Award. Again, we already talked about this. Ki Hu Kwan won for Everything Ever All at Once. He's got to be considered the front runner now going into the Oscars. Henry Winkler won for Best Supporting Actor.
Hey.
Yeah, won for Best Supporting Actor in Barry. He's so good in that show. And yeah, just a bunch of other stuff that we talked about here. Anyway, Rob, we talked about the ridiculousness of some of their presentations already.
Yes.
But what did you think about the actual results of the Critics' Choice, and which of them stand out to you?
I thought they were all pretty fair and just and correct. That's one of the things. Look, the Critics' Choice Awards, the pedigree there, they're supposed to be critics, so they are supposed to recognize greatness, not weirdness or whatever. I thought it was all pretty well deserved. Of course, Ruth Carter won for costumes again.
Yep.
I would be remiss.
Of course, for Black Panther, Wakanda
for Black
Forever.
Panther, and you can hear her on the Designing Hollywood podcast.
Yeah, right here on the go down into the playlist right now. We've got it there under the Designing Hollywood. Rob interviews. Her was a great hour-long interview.
Yep.
Go check it out.
And she's great, but I think everybody, Giancarlo Esposito getting that win for supporting actor was great because, at the Emmys, Better Call Saul did not get the kind of love that I thought it deserved to get. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see the show because, again, I guess people are just too, between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, the excellence in a decade's worth of plus of programming, everyone knows. But you know what? These shows, I think these awards were all well. Look, the fact that Daniel Radcliffe won proves, and the fact that Weird was recognized, for the Roku channel, that truly deserved to win. Just like the thing about Everything Everywhere All at Once is how creative that movie actually is. It's something new that people haven't seen before. And I think the Critics' Choice Awards recognize that. I think a lot of people, I don't know if the Emmys would recognize Weird.
Nope.
But they did, and it was well deserved. I thought all these awards were great. This is awesome.
Chris, what did you think about the overall awards that were given, and were there any that kind of stuck out to you? Or were there any takeaways for you out of them?
Honestly, Weird getting some wins in here is the big story to me, just because, to your point, Rob, I think it really shows that something we talk about so much on this show, medium, genre, these are not the things that make a good performance. The actual performance does, right? The quality of the writing, the quality of the directing, the execution of all of this. That's where all the greatness lies, not whether or not it's your typical quote unquote hard to watch award season show, right? Or award season film. I love how this also speaks to just the subjectivity of performance as well. Seeing Brandon Fraser get all these awards, seeing different people get, top marks for comedy and things too. Because comedy is another iffy thing at the Emmys now as well, where that comedy category, it's not straight traditional comedy like it used to be back in the day, right? I don't know if a show like Cheers would be sweeping the way that, some of these other shows do now, because now your comedy also has to have a lot of heartbreak and a lot of really dramatic scenes, and you balance that, which I think is great in terms of storytelling. It's lovely to see everyone have those lovely emotional journeys. But it does make the categories much more competitive, where you could be doing something pretty slapsticky and very traditional comedy, but you're competing with somebody talking about, a great familial loss or something that happens to happen on their more comedic show. So I love that we're seeing in this some true weird, not to beat it to death, but some weird performances and some weird stuff wins, because it's equally fun and good and there's worth to it.
By the way, we did this for the Golden Globe, so I think it's important to highlight it again here. With Abbott Elementary, this is the first traditional network show in a decade that has been winning these awards. It's all been streamers. Now, you could make the argument for Schitt's Creek, because while in the US it was on streamers, it's originating in Canada, which it was a CBC show, but still for most people around the world, it was a streaming show. But Abbott Elementary is like, for over a decade, the best comedy series and all that, it's always been the streamers. It's been the streaming shows.
Yep.
This is the first network show in a long time that's been getting this kind of love. By the way, one other thing I want to point out here is that there, to me, in all of these awards, there is one name that is, to me, horribly missing. And somebody needs to explain to me why this guy is not getting mentioned more in these awards here. And Jonathan, if you got my screen here, where is Stellan Skarsgård for Andor?
Yeah.
No, like, seriously. And I know I'm an Andor fanboy. I know, but come on. I'm not saying he should have walked away with a winner, but where's Stellan Skarsgård for Andor? That is, you cannot tell me that is not one of the best performances of the year, playing that character. His speech alone of, I burn my life to create a sunrise that I know I'll never see. I mean, come on.
Where is Matthew Good as Bob Evans from The
from
Offer?
The Offer, right?
I mean, I would say that those two, I understand that a lot of people, both The Offer and Andor are, in a way, even though it's Star Wars, kind of niche for this Academy, because again, I don't know, but you're right. They were not even, maybe next year, John. Maybe next year. I don't know what the dates. How do you qualify? But man, the fact that no one has talked about Matthew Good's performance as Bob Evans blows my mind.
Bubby.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, he was so good.
He was incredible. Incredible.
You know what's really good? Was Josh Gad who played? No, not Josh Gad. Who played?
Coppola.
Who played Coppola? He was from Fanboys.
Yeah.
Why am I freezing on the dude from Fanboys? Guys in the live chat, help us out. What was the guy who played who was in Fanboys?
He was great too.
And he played Coppola in The Offer. Dan Fogler.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Spencer Knight in the live chat was the first one to throw that in there. He was also great in that. Anyway. Guys, question is for you. Listen, I've lost some of the luster of the Critics' Choice Awards for the last couple of years. I still think they're the second most prominent, but I think they, other than presenting two awards at the same time, I think they had a really good list of winners here. If I thought a couple are missing, but anyway, what did you guys think about the overall winner list? How do you think that might shape the upcoming Oscar nominations? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Our third topic comes from Mike. So it looks like Avatar had another great weekend. Caught it again this weekend. So did Megan, which was also great. It looks likely that Avatar 2 will take the number 6 all-time worldwide box office from Spider-Man No Way Home by Thursday. Honestly, I think it has a very good chance to take the number 4 all-time worldwide by the end of its run. Never bet against James Cameron. What do you think?
We have been talking on this show for a long time about it is a bad investment. It is a bad business to be in the doubting James Cameron business. Very bad business. Because you always lose. You always lose. There's not been an example where you would not have lost if you bet against James Cameron, at least in the last 15, 20 years. It's a bad business to be in. And leading into this year, we talked about, with everybody saying nobody cares about Avatar, it's going to flop. No one's going to go watch it. Nobody cares about it. And we've been saying, guys, this thing's going to be a hit. It's going to be, now, even I, who have said, yeah, it's going to make 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, it's going to be a big hit. Don't underestimate, never doubt James Cameron. But I have to confess, even I said, but I don't see it making $2 billion, especially right now with the where we're at right now, as far as the climate, the movie industry hasn't gotten fully back on its feet yet, all that kind of stuff. Still said it was going to be a hit. Still said don't doubt James Cameron, but I said I don't know if I can see it hitting $2 billion. Well, guess what? It's going to hit $2 billion. It's going to hit $2 billion. Avatar: The Way of Water has already crossed 1.9. It's just a matter of time now. The only question left is how high up the rankings will it go on the all-time list because as of right now, it sits at number 7. Avatar, there it is. Avatar: The Way of Water is sitting at the number 7 spot with 1.901. By the end of the day, it will pass Spider-Man No Way Home for the number 6 spot. Because it only needs to make, another 10 million, 14 million, 15 million? It's going to cross that today. The official report may not come out till Wednesday or Thursday, but guess what? By the end of today, maybe by the end of this show, I don't know, Avatar: The Way of Water will pass Spider-Man No Way Home. Which, again, let me state, while I thought Avatar was going to be a big hit, make lots of money, don't James Cameron, if you had asked me straight up a few months ago, will it pass Spider-Man No Way Home? I would have gone, I mean, it's Avatar, but I'm going to guess no. And here we are. Then after that, it's only 100 and something million to go until it passes Avengers Infinity War to crack the top 5. And guess what? It's probably going to crack the top 5. That means understanding now, just on this list here, imagine right here, Avengers Infinity War being replaced with Avatar: The Way of Water. That means in the top 5 biggest films of all time, you're going to have Avatar, you're going to have Titanic, and you're going to have Avatar: The Way of Water. 3, we mentioned this last week, 3 of the top 5 all-time box office films are going to be James Cameron films. 3 of the top 5 are going to be from one guy's mind. Guys, don't sleep on that. That's insane. Yo, sir, you look like you're going to say something.
I was. What's really interesting is if you look at the domestic percentage of box office with Titanic, which is 30%. Now go down to Avatar: Way of Water and look at the domestic take.
30%.
30%. This is why. Now, why do I think that's significant? Because we're not even paying much attention to foreign box office. And foreign box office is going to help. I believe it's going to sit either between Titanic and Star Wars at the number 4 spot, or it's going to go above Titanic because of the international gross.
Right. Now everybody in the world now agrees it's not going to catch the first Avatar and become the number 1 film of all time.
No. But I think it very well could become the number 3 movie. Especially if you look at the whole, because
so you think 2.2 is within reach?
I think it's within striking distance. Absolutely. And I think those 4 numbers, but isn't it interesting that 30%, I mean, Avengers Endgame also, but 30%, the reason that's so interesting is because normally 30 years ago, most movies that were made in America had a much larger gross domestically than they had foreign.
Yes.
The world has changed. And now when a movie like this, it shows that James Cameron, his filmmaking, for whatever reason, has a universality to it, where it travels globally. And that's why Titanic, 30%. I mean, 70% of the rest of the world embraced Titanic. That's a hard thing to do. American comedies don't travel like that because it's colloquial humor. Humor is different from country to country. James Cameron, for whatever reason, he has a magic to his filmmaking that appeals on a global level across countries, across genders, across ethnicities. Cameron has the magical, he understands what human beings around the world love. And I don't know what that is, but it's the power of Cameron, man.
To your point, which is such a great point, when you look at the first Avatar, its domestic box office made up 26.9% of its run. Avatar: The Way of Water's domestic box office percentage has actually gone up. So, and it's a good reflection of that balance between the international market. This, by the way, we just want to take a look at the weekend numbers itself. So Avatar: The Way of Water made another $31 million this weekend domestically, only dropping 32%. Megan, listen, we always talk about if for a movie to have a good second weekend drop off is between 50 and 60%. It only dropped 41%. Megan is a $12 million movie. A $12 million movie. All right? That is about to cross the $100 million mark. For that, a movie that was made for $12 million is about to cross. Puss in Boots only dropped 1%.
Yeah.
the gospel of Puss in Boots verily is being spread, and people are, and you should go check out Puss in Boots. A Man
good.
Called Otto massively overperformed.
Now, isn't this an Apple Plus movie?
Yes, but it is in theaters. Yeah, but it's
Right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hello, streamers.
Another
lesson to be learned.
Honestly, I would have told you if you had asked me to put money on it, I would have guessed $5 or $6 million. It's way overperforming. Plane made $10 million, which if you had asked me a month ago, I would have said Plane $1 or $2 million. It made 10. But here's an interesting thing about this weekend's box office. This is the first time. Now, I did not fact check this. All right. I did not fact check this. So somebody feel free to fact check this. But this is just what's it seems to be kind of standing out to me. I cannot remember a weekend where 5 movies were in double digits. Plane made $10 million. So that Plane, Man Called Otto, Puss in Boots, Megan, Avatar: The Way of Water. I cannot remember the last time we had 5 films in the double digits. That's it's great to have a hit movie like Avatar, but why this is really, I think, a great sign for the movie theaters. Like if movie theaters, because they're still struggling right now, they're looking for something to hang their hat on. Yeah, Avatar being big, that's great, but that's a one-time thing, blah, blah. I think they got to look at this and say, hell, even Plane made double digits. Man Called Otto, which was not expected to do double digits. Puss in Boots is still double digits. It's 3rd week in. Megan, this little $12 million film, is still making double digits. That's a good sign for them.
You know what else, John? Look at the genres of film. Mm-hmm. You've got a throwback 90s action picture,
in Plane.
a great animated film in Puss in Boots, a heartfelt story about a man coming to grips with being his curmudgeonly self, and you've got a James Cameron movie. You have a diversity of all different kinds of stories being told. They're all satisfying their audiences. They're all delivering on the promise, and that they're good movies, even though they're wildly different in terms of genre.
Chris, I mean, look, there's a lot of information here, but it looks like Avatar: The Way of Water is about to crack the top 5, become only the 6th film in history to join the $2 billion club. It's hanging in there well. The box office as a whole it's one of the best weekends for the box office if you don't just take a single film's performance. But I know, what is standing out to you here?
Rob stole my point. Man, I was so excited.
sorry.
I was like, this is so diverse. What a wonderful, wonderful grouping of films. Because it goes to show you when we think about demographics for movies, too, this is a movie for this kind of viewer, and that's it. And really, like, people can contain multitudes, you know? Taylor, you love Megan and Puss in Boots, I think, equally. You know, you can have both in your heart. And I love that here. I'm just real happy because back in CinemaCon, I was playing this game with the exhibitors of what was going to really be the box office king. And I said that Avatar: Way of Water was going to cross 2 billion. So here we are. Very happy. Bet on me. I'm going to go bet on some ponies later.
The Puss in Boots hold is insane.
Yes,
'Cause it's so
great.
good.
Yeah, the word of mouth has gotten out about it. Listen,
That
and I
movie's
get it because
amazing.
I liked the trailer. I did, but I was not a believer in Puss in Boots, right? I didn't love the first one. And even though I loved the character in the Shrek films, I did not love the standalone film. This is one of those, this is like a week by week release. The word's getting out about Puss in Boots, and its hold has been incredible.
And isn't it available on pay-per-view now?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it still had a 1% hold at the box
Yep,
office?
it's still number 3 at the box office.
That's
It's so fun to see in theaters.
That's
But I
insane.
also think a lot of people have no idea it's available for rent online
that's possible.
right now. I think there's a lot of people that don't get that.
Look, the box office is healthy, and it shows.
It's getting there.
But this is, and we have a great, dude, I was looking at, I tweeted you guys the release schedule last
For
week.
2023.
Oh,
Huge year.
Well, I mean, stuff that we're not even talking about. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I think this is this is great for the business. It's great for entertainment. It's great for audiences.
All right, guys. Question is for you. It does indeed look like, despite what a lot of people said leading up to it, that Avatar: The Way of Water is about to join that $2 billion club, and it's going to pass Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it's probably going to climb into the top 5 films of all time. And plus, you had a weekend this weekend where you had 5 films in double digits. Again, maybe in 2017, that doesn't sound so, but that was 5 years ago. I can't remember the last time this happened. What is standing out to you? What do you make of all this? How do you interpret the tea leaves here? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4 here, shall we? Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
Our 4th topic comes from Kyle, the wall punching bro.
Wow.
That sounds like a Kyle. Hey, John and crew. I just got done watching the premiere of The Last of Us, and holy smokes, am I impressed. My wife, who has never played through the games like I did, was hooked. My question for you is, do you think this show can hit the same popularity level as a Game of Thrones and some of the other major HBO shows? I felt like we were watching the start of something big last night. Thanks and bring on the filthy.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Kyle. And, when they announced that they were doing The Last of Us, it's like, okay, well, that is the best storytelling ever in a video game. That and Last of Us 2. Despite what you might hear some people crying about. Last of Us and Last of Us 2 is the best storytelling ever in a video game. That was exciting. When they announced the cast, that was exciting. But it's when they announced that it was the same showrunner who did Chernobyl. That was when I think, at least Rob, for you and I, we were like, oh my God. Oh my God. That's like if tomorrow they announce, I don't know, if they're going to do another Dragon Ball movie, except Steven Spielberg said he's going to do it, and Martin Scorsese was going to produce it. I think it was that kind of a thing. It was like, oh my.
I want to see that.
Yeah, now I want to see. It's like, oh my God. That was exciting. But, we've all seen lots of movies and shows that we had a lot of excitement going into that maybe hit the mark, maybe didn't. Well, The Last of Us debuted last night. Now, we had heard that the critic, and we can bring up this on Rotten Tomatoes, Jonathan. Mm-hmm. We have heard that the early reviews were great. Look at that. 99% critic reviews. 96% audience reviews. Hard to take TV audience reviews very seriously because they can't be verified like movie ones do. But still. So we heard all that. But again, we have sometimes seen examples where, the critic reviews come out before us and maybe we don't like it as much. How could it possibly live up to this hype? So last night, I sat down to watch The Last of Us after I got back from the game. And by the way, a little bit later today at 3 p.m., our Last of Us after show open spoiler discussion. Make sure you come back for that. We'll talk about it in all the great spoilery details. So come back and join us for that. We'll talk non-spoilers here. So with all the hype and all the excitement, whatever, could it possibly live up to that? I sat down to watch it, and I will tell you this. It's perfection. It's perfection. I now believe, maybe I need to think about it a little bit longer, but I think it is the second best series debut I've ever seen. I think this series, I'm not saying it's going to end up overall being better than House of the Dragon. I'm not necessarily saying that. But as far as episode 1 goes, I think this was a better premiere episode, debut episode than House of the Dragon was. The only show I think that had a better premiere was NBC's Milo Ventimiglia's Heroes, which I still think is the best series premiere of all time. But this was outstanding. And it was the perfect blend of complete game accuracy while also taking liberties, and every place where they took liberties and made changes from the game actually made it better and elevated it. And my little theater room last night was a perfect microcosm of it because I was sitting there who had watched, I know all the story of Last of Us, and I was watching with my wife, Ann, who knew nothing about the story of Last of Us, and both of us were completely enthralled. It's really cool watching Ann knowing that she doesn't know about Joel's daughter. And I'm sitting there waiting. But guess what? And it's still, I do know about Joel's daughter. And I'm still like, oh my God, this shook me and moved me and like emotionally had impact. And my wife, who didn't know about any of that, she's like, oh my God. And like freaking out. So you had people who knew the game in that room, people who did not know the game. And as I'm reading around the internet, that has become a microcosm for the whole world right now. People who know the game are thrilled. People who know nothing about the game are thrilled. The performances were perfect. The stage and set designs were perfect. The atmosphere was perfect. The tension building was perfect. The opening was perfect. And it ended in such a way that my damn mouth was salivating. Absolutely salivating. And I just, now look, here's the thing, full disclosure. I really loved the first episode of She-Hulk. And I did not end up liking She-Hulk by the time it was done. I really liked the first episode of Obi-Wan, but I did not like Obi-Wan all that much by the time it was done. And maybe that'll happen with The Last of Us. Maybe it will. Right now, we're just talking about the first 85 minutes, the first episode that dropped. I can't imagine a way it could have been better. I don't know what they could have done that would have made it better than what it was. I loved this thing. I am so excited. I mean, I've already been excited about Sundays with Tulsa King and a few other things, but I'm telling you, man, this absolutely blew my mind. I loved what I saw. Chris, you had a chance to watch Last of Us.
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
Oh, I loved it so much. I was so excited because, like you, I watched it with some people who knew nothing about the game, and I was really surprised, actually. Usually we watch, Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon on Sundays. Now we're switching to this, and it was just me, the host, and my husband who had actually played through it. So everyone did not know what to expect. They asked me what it was about, and I just said angry mushrooms, and then we were off to the races. And I feel like that's a very succinct description of this show.
That's a pretty good description.
And man, it was so great for everyone to experience this with those different kind of narrative perspectives, but still be so moved by it. Before the show started, we were talking about how they do some things that are shot for shot from the game that are so beautifully executed that really give you that same kind of gameplay experience of, oh, this is happening to me and I can experience this on a whole different level. They really fleshed out some other characters from the game too, so that, my husband brought this up, you have that still same sense of agency because, those stakes are really raised because these are real people, not just kind of NPCs. Man, It is so well done. And I really hope too, though, that very small but vocal group of people who were not okay with Bella Ramsey being cast as Ellie, I hope they are eating so much crow because she is so good.
They still think they're right.
Oh, she's so phenomenal in this. She nails it as Ellie.
Rob, you had a chance to sit down and watch you've had very, very high hopes going into it, but what did you think about the episode?
Well, first of all, I thought it was an incredible adaptation of the game. It's a terrific, and when I say adaptation, they took the best parts of the game and then they plussed certain things. They changed a few things, but only, as you put it earlier before we went on the show, to make things better. Because it's different. When you're playing a game character, there are shortcuts in a game that make you involved in the game. Well, as a dramatic narrative, you have to do things like, without giving spoilers, they just had to, I thought they brought things down and made them more personal for Joel, as opposed to being a little bit more not as personal in the game. And that really worked. And that's what adaptation is. We'll talk about that more on the spoiler show. But I thought, my God, the care that was put into this. And Craig Mazin wrote it with Neil Druckmann, the writer of the game.
The game itself, yeah.
So it's co-created by them. And then Mazin, this is the one thing, and I don't want to talk about this now, but I'll talk about this in the spoiler
For those
show.
Mazin is the guy we were talking about who ran Chernobyl.
Which the one thing I thought was interesting was he directed this episode. And there are a few things that I'll talk about later that I thought were, and they're very small. And they're just little things that I thought were irksome that came from his direction that happened later, the second half of the show. But tiny. But for the most part, this show, dude, the first 25 minutes of this was a banger. I mean, I was literally, the tension that is created and the way it's done, and I will say that I was talking about this earlier before we went on, there's one shot, and all I'm going to say is, you're waiting for something, you're like, what's going to happen? And for those of you who haven't watched the game, there's one shot where one of our characters is in the foreground, and you see something in the background out of focus that shows you that all hell is going to break loose. And I was like, oh my God.
By the way, this whole time I'm having this at the ready.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's a shot, and you'll know when you see it.
Spoiler pig is ready.
You'll know when you see it. And I'm like, that was genius. And it was the entire first 25 minutes of this was literally the most tension-inducing thing. And I loved the way it was done. And it was, if you're a game player, it was the game, man. You're watching the game come to life right in front of you. beautifully done, and they plussed it. They plussed it, and I was shocked. I mean, I'm like, these are people that care. These are people that care. They knew their audience. They knew what they had to deliver, and there was so much thought put into this adaptation. And that's what I've always wanted. Just show me that they know what they're doing.
You know, it's interesting. Variety had an article. I think it was, the title of the article was, "This is how you do it," or something. And then they pointed out that this is the first and maybe will be the best show of 2023 and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that they pointed out, which I thought was an important point to make, was that forget, Jonathan, we got Chris on screen there.
Oh, hi.
Forget.
Yeah, that was just on my end.
No, it's on the stream. Forget the fact that this was a video game.
Oh yeah,
It wouldn't matter.
Right.
That's the point the Variety writer made. It's like, it wouldn't matter. Like for the majority of people who watched HBO last night, they couldn't care less about the game. They've never heard the game. They've never seen the game. So forget that. It by itself, even if it wasn't based on a celebrated video game, this is the first great television of 2023. And I was just, funny thing with Ray, often in the half hour that leads up to us starting the show, I'm in my office putting together some like final touches, whatever, and I hear everybody out here talking. But as everybody's talking and discussing stuff about the show, Ray's watching Last of Us, and all I hear from my office is, "Oh no, don't do it. No, what are you doing? Oh, that dog better get out of there." And I'm sitting here in my office like cracking up as I'm trying to write my stuff, and all I hear is Ray out here watching Last of Us and losing. Hey, Ray, you've only seen a bit of the show, but what did you think about the 10, 15 minutes of it that you saw?
I actually tried to watch it last night, but it was really, really late. And like it got to a certain part and I was just like, I'm going to start looking over my shoulders, so I'm not going to finish it. So I came in today wanting to finish it, but I still haven't finished it. But yeah, it gives me the creeps. It's like
intense.
It's intense. Exactly. Like it makes you tense up. It's like, what's going to happen? I know nothing of the game. So I guess that's good for me.
That is good for you. Yeah. That's actually really good for you.
I couldn't play that game at night, which I know everyone in this room knows that I'm a big wimp, but like when it got dark out, I was like, well, we're done with this.
Yeah.
It's spooky.
I purposely turned it off last night. Like I said, nope, because there's no one near me. It's dark. It's like 3 a.m. Let's turn it off.
By the way, I don't know. I didn't go back and look at this, but the opening song for the opening credits, isn't that from the game?
It's pretty reminiscent.
I can't remember.
It's not exactly?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
I mean, it seemed pretty much the same.
I thought that was pretty dope. I was like, I see, but I don't know if that's okay. I thought it was great. Another cool opening credit sequence from HBO.
The chat's saying you are correct, or at least it's very, very close. Definitely same composer.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Question is for you. And again, once again, a big reminder that later today at 3 p.m., we are going to be doing our open spoiler discussion for The Last of Us. We might even do it in the game room. We won't be playing a game. We might even do it in there just so we can have us all in there, give Ray a chance to watch the rest of the episode today. Maybe we'll have all of us in there. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, but what did you think about it in general? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we are now going to move over and start taking our beloved channel members' questions. You guys have been firing in questions on that post that is in the community tab. We'll get to those in just a second. We'll get through as many as we can. But before we do, we want to take another second here and thank a couple more sponsors of the John Campea Show here today, making today's shows possible. Our friends, the incredibly useful Rocket Money, and of course, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money. Do you know how much your subscriptions cost? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, when the actual total is closer to $200. If you don't know exactly how much you're spending every month, You need Rocket Money. When I started using Rocket Money, I couldn't believe how many things I was still paying for. Ann and I haven't lived in Burbank for almost 2 years, and I didn't realize I was still paying for a gym membership in Burbank for 2 years. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills, all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've forgotten about, like that streaming service you bought to watch just one show on, or that free trial that you never even used, or like me, a gym membership in Burbank. Simply find the subscriptions you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save money this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton, with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Guys, I have told you before that when I was on one of the major phone carriers, I was spending literally 3 times as much every month, and switching to Mint Mobile couldn't have been easier. So for people just looking to save some extra money this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in just minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and, of course, Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get over and start taking questions from our channel members. Chris, what do we have there in the channel member?
First, we have Amin. The fact that the show still kept me on edge, even though I pretty much knew what was coming, has got to be praised. That's real talent. It's not easy to do that. Fantastic premiere.
That is also one of the first things that I noticed was that I knew everything that was coming.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. It did not matter. It still hit me powerfully every step of the way. Absolutely loved it.
The first 25 minutes, I knew it was coming, but it was done so well. It was so tense. It was tense from the very beginning. And I loved it.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Warlocks. Don't forget, Craig Mazin also wrote and directed the superhero movie, which was a spoof parody masterpiece. Also, he blessed us with the screenplays for both of the Hangover sequels. I really hope he keeps getting more and more work.
You know, there's a difference between just being a writer, supposed to being a showrunner. But I mean, yeah, look, the Hangover, and by the way, it's another example of, look, guys, everybody has bad days at the office. Like, I've lost count how many times we've got a movie coming out, and one of the writers has a lot of good movies, but they also have one or two bad ones. People, I'm not going to watch that. That's the same guy who wrote this. It's like, I mean, yeah, but come on. I mean, let's see. Just a good reminder for all of us. All right, what's next?
From Edward. What great playoff games this weekend. Dolphins almost squeezed in there. I'm happy all 3 Florida teams made it at least first time this century. Those Jaguars came out of nowhere, and Dan Jones looked incredible. Gosh, Edward, I agree on everything you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, it was an incredible weekend of football. We saw history made. For those, even if you don't follow sports, you've got to appreciate this. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who won 4 games in total in the last 2 seasons combined, made an unlikely run and got into the playoffs. And then playing against, what was it, the Chargers? Yeah, playing against the San Diego Chargers. They were down 27-0. 27-0. It was a blowout. It was over before it started, and they won.
What is that, John? That's 4 touchdowns they need? Oh,
4 touchdowns and a field goal.
Or,
so they won 31-30. after being down 27-0, they outscored the Chargers 31-3 from the second half on. It was the third biggest comeback in NFL history. It was incredible. And then the Miami Dolphins, who were supposed to get blown out by the Buffalo Bills, on their third string quarterback, not their starter, not their backup, their third string quarterback, they were down 17-0. They ended up losing by a field goal. And then the Vikings versus Giants game, I mean, that was a coming out party for the quarterback, for the Giants quarterback. They ended up paying. It was a great weekend of football. And tonight, my favorite team, my current favorite team in the NFL, just because Tom Brady's there. Well, I mean, my favorite team is still the Patriots, but I mean, they're not there. So my current favorite remaining team, Tom Brady, and the Bucs are playing my least favorite team in the league, which is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys. Now, unfortunately, I do think the Cowboys are going to run the Buccaneers out of the building. I think it's not even going to be close. I think they're going to blow the Buccaneers out of the water. But I look forward to watching them choke next week. I look forward to watching Dallas do what Dallas does. You know, that's what Dallas does. They choke. They had great regular season, then they choke. So I look forward to watching them choke next week. But they will beat the Buccaneers tonight, unfortunately. But it is what. Anyway, sorry. Enough of the sports talk. Sorry about that, guys. But it was a fabulous weekend of football. All right, what's next?
Just checking. Yeah, lost half our audience. Okay.
From Uncle Drew, still can't believe how good the Last of Us intro episode was. So many good decisions made only makes anticipation for weekly release better.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Now I got a whole week to tell everybody I know about the show and then get on it next week. It was just so good. I agree. All right, what's next?
From Joe Ranzo. Holy hell, The Last of Us was so good. Pedro Pascal deserves an Emmy nomination for this episode alone. He delivers in all facets of Joel.
I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves and say he deserves an Emmy nomination or anything like that yet, but it was a really good start. Him, and by the way, the girl who played his daughter was stunningly good. And yeah, Bella Ramsey as Ellie, yeah, F all the doubters. She owned it. She completely owned it. It was great. All right, what's next?
From Mike's movie Madness, The Last of Us adaptation was amazing. As someone new to the franchise, I was amazed at how much respect they've brought to this adaptation. Can't wait to talk spoilers later.
Yeah, I cannot wait to talk spoilers there. Again, it just kind of, when you come from a source material that the basic foundation, and everybody wants to say, no, all video game stories are really good. No, they're not. It's very, very few that are actually can stand on their own apart from gameplay as great solid narrative. Last of Us is one of those. And so they were able to lean into and be really, really faithful, but also knew that, hey, this isn't a video game. This is on the screen. Knew when to do some adaptation and change things up a little bit, and it only elevated. It was a perfect mixture of the two. Perfect faithfulness when they needed it. Perfect adaptation when it called for it. It was just a stunning result. All right, what's next?
From Devin Pangrigar, so happy Evan Peters won the Golden Globe. Well deserved. He's an underrated talent.
Well, Evan Peters, also, which one did he win for Mayor of Easttown? Because
Wasn't that an Emmy?
He might have got the Emmy for Best Supporting Actor in Mayor of Kingston or Mayor of Easttown, or at least was nominated for it. Yeah, he's starting to get a lot of recognition. That dude's good. That is really good. He ain't just, kick-ass's sidekick anymore.
He's on my desk.
He's on your desk right
is.
now. Yeah, he's over there. The Quicksilver variation of him is there.
Real quick, what did y'all think that one of Dahmer's victims' family members came forward and said that it gave the wrong message rewarding these kinds of performances because so many people who have this kind of mindset do want to be famous and remembered? Do you guys think there's any validity to that, or
No,
is that
none, zero,
Yeah?
Absolutely zero. Look, of course, all due respect to members of victims' families
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, but listen, awards are not supposed to send messages. Awards are, if you did the best work, you get this trophy. That's what it's supposed to be. And it doesn't matter. Look, somebody wrote to me yesterday, and I know I'll probably get in a little bit of hot water for this, but it's just what I think. Somebody wrote to me yesterday and said, I don't know, do you think that victims' families should be compensated with the success that a show like Dahmer is having and stuff like that. And I'm like, or even some questions like this, like, are we sending the wrong message by giving awards to a show like this? And the thing is, television, movies, look, I say all the time, we are a species of storytellers. We have been from the very dawn of our existence. We are storytellers. A lot of it, and a lot of our storytelling is telling true stories. The stories of our history, the stories of the things that happen around us. And these stories are important stories to tell. And, I'm not going to get into that, what I was about to say there, but just getting back on the thing of just, we are a species of storytellers. True stories need to be told. I 100% believe that. True stories need to be told. And, and when somebody tells a story exceedingly well, then just forget whether it's a true story or a made up story. The creative merit of that deserves to be recognized. So no, I don't believe, and again, all due respect and all due sensitivity to victims, family members, and of course, but that doesn't change the fundamental foundation of what I believe about storytelling. Stories need to be told, and they should be told well. And then they should not be limited or held back for doing it really well. So
Sure.
Again, I'm not going to have either of you guys chime in on this, because if there's any heat to be drawn for this, I want it to be directed at me. But I'll just say that no, I don't agree with that sentiment. With all respect, but I don't agree. So there's that. All right, what's next?
From Chef Rigo.
Chef Rigo!
Saw Hacksaw Ridge recently, and damn, what a movie. When DOS helped the enemy, it got me. I need more Gibson movies.
Listen, I'll tell you what. I remember telling everybody, do not sleep on Hacksaw Ridge. I was blown away. Andrew Garfield's performance to that is stupid. Stupid good. And the movie as a whole is stupid good.
It's great.
And the scenes, just that one part, and based on a true story, I love it. Absolutely. Obviously, Mel Gibson is a figure that is a divisive figure right now, and I get it. But if you're just talking about the quality of a movie, that is a high quality movie. I loved it. All right, what's next?
From Love Dakerborn. Which of these movie franchises, Die Hard or Dirty Harry, do you think has the best chance of coming back, and which one would you most like to see?
I would say, first of all, they both present challenges for different reasons. Number one, for Die Hard, it's difficult because its lack of quality, let's just say lack of quality in its last number of iterations, is fresh in everybody's minds, right? So that's a challenge for it. For Dirty Harry, the general public perceives that kind of cop a little bit differently today.
Yeah.
Than the way that not all, just that kind of cop would have been perceived at another time. You can agree, you can say that's good or a bad thing. It's irrelevant. You have to acknowledge that the general public perceives the Dirty Harry kind of cop a little bit differently today than they did maybe 30, 40 years ago. So both would be challenging. And man, I don't know. I'd say more likely a Die Hard, just because it's a more recognizable IP today. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. I really don't think the portrayal of Dirty Harry Callahan on the screen today would go over at all, especially in light of, the last years and how we've talked about police reform and we've seen the results of it. Yeah, I don't think that the vigilante justice cops, it wouldn't be good. But Die Hard, you could. It's interesting. The first Die Hard's actually based on a novel called Nothing Lasts Forever by a guy named Roderick Thorpe. And I don't think you're going to, if you do a new Die Hard, I don't think you're going to remake the first Die Hard movie. But the idea of the everyman finding himself in a situation where he has to step up, which is the core of what Die Hard is, I could see that coming back as a franchise movie. Somebody's going to make a new Die Hard with a new main character that would work.
All right. What's next?
From James Freeman. With the Dune series in production, do you think it has a shot at Game of Thrones level popularity?
Everything has a shot. Everything has a shot. Now, what I would always say in poker is, little story, we were playing poker one night. Guy made a big move. I called. And I didn't have a great hand. I just didn't think he had the hand he was representing. So I called, and he said, "How did you make that call? You know, it's possible I could have had the flush." And I remember I said to him, "Yeah, but I deal in probabilities, not possibilities." And it was improbable, possible, but improbable that you had the flush there. And I told him why. Anyway, is it probable that the Dune series will be as big as Game of Thrones? No. But is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. Rob, what do you think?
Here's the thing about this show. In Dune, the Bene Gesserit sisterhood make up stuff in order, like make up religions in order to make populations do what they want. I could see however they're going to do it. I can't wait to see it. But it might not go down as easy with the audience as something like Game of Thrones, which has, I think, a broader based fantasy appeal.
Yes.
So I could see what the Bene Gesserit sisterhood is doing might turn some people off. But if it's done well, like you said, I don't think it's probable that it's going to have Game of Thrones appeal, but it's possible.
Right.
I'm just hoping it's good.
By the way, I just want to fact check somebody did, because a couple of people wrote this and I double checked, and you're right. So Man Called Otto is not an Apple,
it's
but
not.
it's a Sony. It's a Sony production.
So it's it's a Sony production, but it's an actual movie then.
Yeah,
So
it's exclusively theatrical right now. All right. Thank you to everybody in the live chat for that, by the way. All right. What's next?
From Terry. Hey, John, what's your prediction for Ant-Man 3's opening box office?
Oh God. It's easy to get an idea for most movies with their opening weekend box office. And you're right and you're wrong sometimes, but it's not hard to come up with an idea. I don't know. You know what? If I had to go on a limb right now, look, the fact of the matter is, while I love Ant-Man, it is not the most popular of the MCU franchises. We are coming off of a couple of films that struggled more than the typical MCU movie does in Thor, Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Still has a lot of fans, but not as universally beloved. So Ant-Man is coming off of that. I'm going to say 100 million. I'm going to say 100 million opening weekend. Rob, what do you think?
I think a bit higher, only because he's been around for a while.
Yep.
And people have seen him, and he was pivotal in Endgame, and people like Paul Rudd. Mm-hmm. And I think that and also look, I think more than I would somewhere between 125 and 150. That's
I hope you're right.
Guess.
I think that would be a really good number.
I do
so
too.
if it was able to do that, that would be great. I fear those other factors are going to keep it down, but I hope you're right. Chris, what do you think?
I'm with Rob. People love Paul Rudd, so even if you aren't a Marvel diehard, I think people are going to go check this out. Plus, this seems like it has really, really big stakes for the MCU as a whole.
Do me a favor, Taylor, look up what the opening weekend numbers were for the first Ant-Man and the second Ant-Man, if you can do that. In the meantime, we will move on to the next question. What's next?
From the Everything Entertainment Network. Really loved Last of Us. Just wish they had expanded the world with new stories instead of just retelling the same story from the game. But what they gave us was excellent.
I'll tell you why they absolutely should not have done that. Why they 100% should not have done that. Because maybe 10% of the people who watched the show played the game.
This is the opener.
What's that?
This opens a world.
Yeah. This is the introduction to this world. Now, it's one thing if everybody who tuned into HBO last night was somebody who already played the game. Well, yeah, then maybe there's something to be said there about but no, like the vast majority of the people watching last night were like my wife who was sitting beside me last night. Had no idea. So what's the point of doing variations and spinoffs of something most people haven't seen in the first place? So, hey, that could come later down the line. Like the possibility exists that if this show garners the success that it looks like it deserves, then not only can they cover the stories of Last of Us and Last of Us 2, they could then take the liberty of branching out the origin of the Fireflies, or, what happened in the immediate first 5 years after the outbreak. There's lots of other stories to tell, but for now you got to tell the core story. Because most people don't know it yet.
And we already know that we are getting original characters in this too.
Yeah.
Because Jeffrey Pierce and Ashley Johnson, who are voice actors for the original game, mocap actors for it as well, they're playing characters in this to expand that world and universe.
Right.
So you're getting some column A, column B. It's good for everybody.
All right, what's next?
I have the box office if you wanted to
Oh
know.
yeah, so what was Ant-Man?
So the first Ant-Man opening weekend was 57,000, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp
57,000, really?
was
That's really low.
75,000.
Do you mean million?
Oh, yeah. See, this is how you guys know I'm not.
The biggest flop in
$75.
cinematic history.
Monopoly money.
So what was it? 57 million for the
Yes.
first one, and what?
75 million for the second one.
So
So
100
90 million would be like a good threshold. I mean, you can
Yeah.
easily see 90 million.
You'd be right.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm hoping you're right. The 125 to 150. I'm thinking the 100 range, but I don't know.
It has to be good though.
Yeah, it's got to be good. Now then it can have legs. We'll see what kind
Yeah.
of legs it has. We're just talking opening weekend.
I'll tell
right
you
now.
what will be devastating for this once again, because everyone went into madness, thinking, oh, this is going to explain everything and tie it all together, and then it just opened up the world more. Oh well, this is going to explain the phases coming more. If it opens up more questions at the end of this, it's going to be so frustrating.
I agree, because listen, this movie doesn't have to wrap everything, but this movie needs to start addressing the fans' question. What is the MCU about right now?
Right.
Because they have all through phase 4, we don't have a clue. We did in all the other phases. Right now, if you ask the question, what's the MCU about right now? There's not an answer. Kevin Feige promised answers were coming. I think this is the movie that is not going to give all of them, but is going to start to give us a picture about what the whole MCU is about at the moment. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
From Juventus fan 93. I'm so sorry. I definitely
Juventus.
butchered that.
It's a
Thank-
soccer club.
That's why I don't know it. Hey guys, which DC character would you like to see in an HBO series? For me, it's Warlord. A Hollow Earth fantasy would be epic. Thanks, and bring on the Philippines.
Look.
Yeah, but unreasonably expensive.
Yeah, and also Warlord. I love Warlord. It's a Mike Grell did Warlord. I mean, imagine Green Arrow with a white beard and a Thor helmet. Warlord's awesome, but it would be, like you said, hugely expensive. Like, how do you? It's a gigantic, epic fantasy show. I'd love to see it though.
I wouldn't mind a reboot of Nightwing. Take out the stuff they're doing with Titans. Right? Just pretend that stuff doesn't exist, and just do its own standalone world. We're saying, my name is Dick Grayson. I was raised by a maniac, or whatever. And now you're picking him up in his early 30s or something like that in Bloodhaven. And I mean, I think that could be pretty interesting. Just not the version they have that's going right
You
now.
should just first line
Although-
in the trailer, F Batman.
Batman. I'm like, I'm out.
This is the first season of Titans that I've watched all the way through because
Oh,
it's
really?
got Brother Blood in it. And it's, you know what? I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it
All right, what's next?
against my better judgment.
From Stefan DeLint Woders. I love Prey, but I prefer to see the franchise exploring different time periods instead of a straight sequel. Imagine a Predator in feudal Japan or ancient Greece.
Yeah, well, listen, we talked about that when the movie first came out. Was oh my god, especially feudal Japan. We talked about that, where you got the samurai warriors and all that
Bro.
kind of stuff. So much possibility. That said, it's not an either or proposition. The smart business play is a Prey sequel. And then you can open that up and go to another era. Again, I think it's perfectly good to rush to, oh my God, Predator versus Pirates. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and they could do that next, and that would be great. But I also think from a business point of view, going back to Amber Midthunder, going back to a character we know, an environment that totally worked, do that, and then move on to the other things. If it's successful, I think has a lot of possibilities.
I'm in the Seven Samurai versus a Predator. Come on,
I love it.
bring it on.
All right, what's next?
From Michael Gonzalez. Any predictions for the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer tonight?
That's going to be good.
I bet we're going to see Grogu.
I'm 100%. 100%. I remember at the end of the last season, people saying, I don't think we're going to get Baby Yoda in the third season. I'm like, you're insane. You are certifiably insane. All due respect and love, but man, you are insane if you don't think they're going to put Baby Yoda. And I didn't know if Baby Yoda was going to be in the whole season or whatever, but we said, there's that little green thing of goo is printing money for Disney. printing it
We're
out
gonna-
of their ass. There's no conceivable reality that exists that they weren't going to have a lot of Grogu in the next season.
We're going to see Bo-Katan. We're going to see
Yep.
the Darksaber. We're going to see Mandalore. We're going to see spaceships.
Hey, we got to see Moff Gideon. We
Is
got to
it
see
money?
Moff
That
Gideon.
probably-
What's that?
Nothing. I said, is ass money acceptable now?
Ass money is completely acceptable
In some systems.
in some
The Outer Rim.
ass money.
Aviation shot of the day, Taylor Gonzalez.
Wow.
Our aviation gin shot of the day goes to Taylor Gonzalez. Ass money accepted in the Outer Rim. Yes.
That's a tag team over there of comedy gold.
Oh, man. I'm so proud of you.
Oh
It smells better in the outer rim.
Golly.
You know what it reminds me of?
Inner rim.
What does
No, I don't want it.
I don't want to know what it reminds you
know.
of. I really don't.
You know, during the summer when you work retail, I used to work retail, and women would come in and they would pull money out of their bra, and it was moist. That's what ass money in the outer rim is.
Oh. Yeah, that's money you just keep in nature's pocket.
Oh man.
Getting worse and worse and worse.
Retail job.
I need to tell you. All right, let's continue on, shall we? Got time for a couple more. What's next?
From CJ Rebirth, fun voice actor fact, Chris. Greg Sipes, voice of Beast Boy, calls Ashley Johnson his cartoon girlfriend because she usually voices his love interests. Oh, that's sweet.
Ashley Johnson. She was also the voice of Ahsoka Tano in the Star Wars.
No,
universe.
that's a different actress.
That's a different Ashley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ashley Eccleston?
Oh, you know what? You're
yeah.
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You are
Yeah.
right.
She was the voice of Gretchen in Recess. I don't know if anyone remembers that
I
show.
remember recess.
I loved Recess. It was great.
All right. What's next?
From the Super Ranger Mud Truck. I rented a Puss in Boots movie from Redbox, and it was a William Shatner movie. He did the voice of Puss. It was cringe, but funny.
Okay. Wait. This is the second time somebody's written
So yeah,
to,
so
to
now
reference
it
this.
must be out there.
I have no point of references to this. I don't. You must know this.
I
you
don't.
are one of William Shatner's directors. You directed him in the movie.
I don't know this film. I have not seen this film, but it doesn't surprise me because William Shatner's filmography is
We gotta
diverse,
find an image of
eclectic,
this.
and you never know when you're going to find him. So, yeah, I can't. It's probably I don't know the movie.
You think I'd be able to just Google it, but I'm really.
yeah, Puss in
Oh, it's
Boots.
called
William.
the true story of Puss in Boots.
Let me
There you
see.
go.
Puss
I mean,
in
but when you
Boots.
see this, it's like. Okay, hang on. Let me just.
I might be
do
able to
this thing.
find it here. Oh yeah, there it
no.
is. Oh my God.
Was that
Hey man, look at that! 2 product ratings, 4.5 stars,
Was
as
this
it
just
should
shoved
be.
into the Redbox like thing as a joke? Because like, how did they even?
Those
So that's
boots are
the
not
movie?
accurate.
That's not the movie. It's a.
It's not
We
the
can
one
buy
we
it for
know.
$10.99.
I guess he
A different
voices-
Puss in Boots
There
movie.
you go. I didn't even know this existed.
Puss in Boots must be what's the word for it? Once it's a copyright and over.
Oh yeah, public domain.
public domain. Puss in Boots must be public domain.
That was counterfeit puss.
It's
if I've ever seen
counterfeit
it.
puss
Counterfeit.
from the Outer Rim. All right, let's go on.
boy.
What's next?
From Exotic Runs, thoughts on Sick, the new Blumhouse movie on Peacock?
I saw a trailer for it. It looked
I-
interesting.
I have not
it's
seen
like
a
a
trailer, nor have I
pandemic
heard of it. What's it about?
I don't know.
I'm guessing somebody gets sick.
It's a slasher that's on Peacock. It's from the writers of Scream. It's these girls check into a cabin to
Yep. Of
course they
quarantine.
do.
They have the masks on.
Yep.
It's like to take place during COVID. They get there and someone's already staying there. That's all I know. I haven't seen the trailer, but I'm interested.
Every good slasher starts with a group of girls checks into a hotel room / cabin.
And now it's all these quarantine movies.
That's
though.
why
Yeah,
anytime somebody asks me to go camping, I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm not going to die today.
Camping is fun. Camping is fun.
I don't feel like I have final girl energy, John.
Final
I feel
girl
like,
energy.
I feel like I would die real fast. So you're not getting me in the woods.
I'm the establishing the killer
Yeah,
girl.
she's like the beginning of Scream.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I
I'm-
thought
I'm
she
Drew
was.
Barrymore.
I'm Drew Barrymore.
She's gonna get disemboweled.
Yeah.
All right, we got time for a couple more. What's the next one?
From Joshua McGregor, watch with my wife, and she was saying after the big moment in the beginning, the story was real choppy. Didn't really understand. P.S. We didn't play the game.
Huh.
I didn't feel that, but okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
well, I mean, you probably know the story of the game.
Yeah.
But my wife didn't, and it was. But hey, listen, all stories hit us all in different ways. Like narrative flows hit us in different ways, and for some people, the narrative flow will work smooth as butter, and for others, it might feel a little bit choppy. So hey, we all have different experiences with it. All right, what's next?
From Jeffrey Hemphill, over under short round appears in Indiana Jones 5.
You got to give us a number. Over under what? Like over under. If I were setting the line, 2%.
Yeah, I don't. I
don't think so.
Reuniting with Harrison Ford in those pictures backstage, it didn't look like they'd seen each other in a while.
Yeah. So while I would have been all for it, the movie. Well, the movie's been shot for a long time. So if they were just going into production now and he was winning all these awards, they'd probably look for something. But no, I'd say 2%. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah. Well, again, probability versus possibility, but maybe 2%. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, I didn't love Last of Us, but I really liked it. I'm just not a fan of zombies. I think they've been overexposed.
Dude, I am completely with you on that. Like, that's part of the reason why I was a little bit apprehensive about it, because it's like, oh, look, it's a zombie thing. John, it's not zombies. It's a fungal infection. I get it. It's a zombie show. Like, you paint it however you want. It's kind of like when people say 28 Days Later isn't a zombie. It's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
They may define them a little bit differently. It's a zombie show. But man, they did it well. God, they did it well. And by the way, I'm not going to give anything away, but the final shot of the episode, you see, if you look closely, you see something. And I'm like, oh, here it is. Here we go. Business is about to pick up. Anyway. All right. What's next?
From Infila's Game Day.
Game Day.
Today.
For what?
Mando trailer today.
Oh, that's right.
For what?
That's
Yeah.
a very short game day.
Yeah.
That's like a
it's a game
3-minute game
moment.
day right there.
So, I mean, obviously, we got a little something we're going to have to look forward to talking about tomorrow.
Which is good.
I'm so excited about that. I am so stoked. By the way, it's right now, it is Pedro
spaceship.
Pascal's world. We're just living in it
Right.
right now. Like, he's got the hottest thing on TV right now, and he's got the most exciting trailer coming out, too. About we're going to get a lot of Pedro Pascal this year. All right, what's next?
From Devin Pangrigear, how many MCU shows come out this year? Surely Agatha can't film and be released this year.
It all depends. Listen, we've talked about, there have been movies that shot in February and came out in August.
Sure.
I mean, it all depends. Now, as an MCU thing, it might be different. There's probably going to be a lot of post-production, probably going to be a lot of visual effects. Nothing like Avatar or anything like that. But yeah, I'm going to guess that, and it is early in the year, but my guess is Agatha won't come out till next year.
Yeah, I would imagine that. But remember, normal TV shows shoot in like 8 days, an episode. If there's only 6 episodes in Agatha, they could shoot the whole thing by end of March and spend the rest time on
Depends
post.
on when they shot too, right? Because I mean, well,
I don't even
what
think
if?
they
I
started
think
shooting,
they
have they?
start production this week.
Okay, this
Okay.
week they start
This week.
production.
But Secret Invasion already wrapped production, right? Principal
A long time
photography.
ago.
And
But-
Loki, I think, wrapped principal photography. So that leaves Ironheart, Echo, and Agatha.
Secret Invasion probably had a lot of post because of the scrolls.
Yeah. All right. Last question of the day. What's next?
From Denny Dots, Quantum Mania ticket watch.
Again, no, we've been asked this a lot. No, because unlike, say, Spider-Man Spider-Man No Way Home, where we suspected ticket selling websites would crash and blah, blah, blah. That's not going to happen with Ant-Man.
Right.
So, no. Now, a reaction watch, that we will probably do. We'll probably do a live reaction watch right around when the reaction embargo lifts. We'll probably do a reaction watch live stream, but not a ticket watch one. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to our channel members for sending in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, by being channel members, you're supporting our channel. And we thank you so much for that. Once again, don't forget that a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, that's 6 p.m. New York time, we're going to be doing our live The Last of Us after show open spoiler discussion. We hope you guys will come back and join us for that. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button on this video if you like this. Also, want to remind you guys that I put up a video over the weekend that's kind of like a classroom kind of video on revisiting, in light of the Universal Yesterday trailer lawsuit, revisiting the controversy of the fake Sony movie critic. It's up there on the channel right now. Go check it out and leave some thoughts if you enjoy that and share it around if you do. Anyway, guys, for everybody in the room, Robert Meyer Burnett. Over there is Ray Ora. Back in the outer rim is Taylor Gonzalez, Jonathan Voico, and of course, Chris Carr. My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.